You look like you might put up a good fight.
Yeah, right. Take your shot.
As you research, study, and create the icebergs, you often find more information and trivia that might have missed the first round. I know I did, and so did Rage and Rowan, hence the Street Fighter Iceberg Part 2. Rage and Rowan made an update to his initial Street Fighter Iceberg that he posted on Reddit. Here's the updated version that he posted. While researching for Part 2 for this video, I found even more stuff that could be added to the iceberg. And here is my updated version of the iceberg. Anything that will be covered in this video is highlighted in yellow. If you missed the first iceberg, there will be a link to that in the description, or you can click the card in the upper right hand corner. So there's a lot of new stuff to go over in this video, and I'm very excited to talk about it with you. Before I get into the iceberg proper, it would be really helpful if you subscribe to the channel and hit the bell as well for notifications on future videos. We've been seeing really good growth here on the channel as of late, and I gotta say thank you to everybody so much for subscribing, watching, sharing, liking, commenting. It all means the world to me. So with that out of the way, let's get into the Street Fighter Iceberg Part 2 Hyper Fighting. How much do you know? Mega Man X Street Fighter references. One of Capcom's most beloved properties is the Mega Man X series, and given Capcom's love of internal shoutouts, there's a few to the Street Fighter franchise in X. In X1, X can perform the Hadouken with a special code, and in X2, X can perform a Shoryuken after fighting a capsule or using a code. In X4, the character Magma Dragoon has a lot in common with Akuma, and uses Shoryukens and Hadoukens in battle. Fighting Street. Fighting Street is the Turbo CD port of Street Fighter 1. Many are unaware that one was ported to the system due to the name change, but it is there if you are a Turbo CD collector. Tekken Cross Street Fighter. Back in 2010, Namco and Capcom announced that their popular fighting game franchises would be crossing over in two titles. Capcom developed Street Fighter Cross Tekken and released that in early 2012, but at time of writing this video, nothing has come to the surface for the Namco-developed Tekken Cross Street Fighter other than a bit of art. Tekken director Katsuhiro Harada implies that the project isn't dead, it's just low priority due to Tekken 7's runaway success, and given the polarizing reception to Street Fighter Cross Tekken, though Akuma in Tekken 7 does give a glimpse of what might be in the future. Capcom Fighting All-Stars and Capcom vs SNK 3. In the early 2000s, Capcom announced a 3D fighter called Capcom Fighting All-Stars. It got decently far into development, even getting playtested. However, due to the falling relevance of arcades in the early 2000s and poor reception from playtesters, Capcom canceled the project. What isn't as well known is that prior to All-Stars, Capcom vs SNK 3 was planned. It would have been a 3D title like Street Fighter EX, but due to SNK's financial problems, that title was scrapped, and whatever was made into that title was put into All-Stars, which, just mentioned, got cancelled too. It was hinted that K-Dash or maybe Kyo were planned to guest star in All-Stars, but obviously that never happened. As a compromise, we got Capcom Fighting Evolution. Yay? Red Hadouken Glitch. In versions of Street Fighter 2, occasionally Ryu or Ken's Hadouken would turn red. This was probably a glitch or maybe an Easter egg, but many players speculated what caused the Hadouken to turn red. Come Super Street Fighter 2, Capcom gave Ryu a new fireball called the Shakunetsu Hadouken, and has become a staple of Ryu's kit, and other Shoto clones use it too. Shower and bath scenes. Show of hands, whose first time seeing nipples was the shower scene in Street Fighter 2, the animated movie? Yeah, that's what I thought. Anyway, there's quite a few scenes in the Street Fighter universe that involve bathing, so let's do this. Chun-Li in the animated movie, Ryu and Ken skinny dipping in 2V, Chun-Li in a bathrobe in the Western show, but we don't see her in the bath, Rose bathing in her Alpha 2 ending, Rose bathing in the Capcom Gals manga, Sakura and her friend Kei bathing in the bathhouse from Marvel vs. Capcom 1, Sakura and Fuka bathing together in Alpha Generations, various characters in the swimsuit specials, and Chun-Li in the Legend of Chun-Li movie. And if I ever have to talk about that movie ever again, I will sumo headbutt a brick wall. City Hunter. In 1993, Jackie Chan starred in the Hong Kong adaptation of the manga City Hunter. Probably the most well-known part of the movie is where Ryo is thrown into an arcade machine and dreams of Street Fighter II, complete with Ryo dressed as Chun-Li in a Street Fighter II fight. This was a weird movie, wasn't it? Final Fight Guy. The Super Nintendo port of Final Fight 1 was heavily cut down from the arcade or Sega CD ports. Besides no co-op play, the biggest thing was that Guy was missing from the Super Nintendo port. As a compromise, Capcom released a rental exclusive version of Final Fight called Final Fight Guy that replaced Cody with Guy for those who wanted to play as Guy. It's a collector's item these days and goes for really high prices in secondhand markets. Akuma anime cameos. Akuma has made a lot of cameos in various parts of Street Fighter cartoons, fitting as that he's watching fights waiting for strong opponents. This is most common in the anime Street Fighter II V, where he has many blink and you miss them cameos. Same with the animated movie. Karin's origin. Karin is a character introduced in Street Fighter Alpha 3 as Sakura's rival. However, Alpha 3 was not her first appearance. Karin first appeared in the manga Sakura Ganbaru. Prior to Alpha 3's launch, Karin had sprite data in Marvel Super Heroes vs. Street Fighter. She was a planned head swap of Sakura, but didn't make it into that title, and made her playable debut in Alpha 3. Related, Cammy's Killer Bee outfit, aka her Shadowloo outfit, made its first appearance in X-Men vs. Street Fighter. Cammy leg censorship. I believe this is referring to Street Fighter V. Prior to V's release, Cammy's intro focused on her legs, and fellow Miss Fanservice Mika had her critical art slapping her own butt before the startup. However, Capcom wanted Street Fighter V to be broadcast on national television, and ESPN said that if those shots remained in the title, ESPN would not be able to broadcast 5. Capcom acquiesced and altered the cameras for both Cammy and Armika. Additionally, Cammy's appearance in Wreck-It Ralph was altered to have her have pants. I guess the booty was too much for Disney. Street Fighter II Turbo Mega Drive prototype. In my original Iceberg, I said that Dash Turbo was the Japanese name for hyper fighting, but what the original Iceberg was referring to was the prototype version of Turbo for the Mega Drive. The prototype version of Dash Turbo was considerably different with gameplay changes and worse presentation. Sega wasn't happy with the original version and ordered Capcom to clean up the game to be comparable to the Super Nintendo version. Unused HD Remix intro. HD Remix was an updated version of Street Fighter II with new sprites and balance changes. What didn't make it into the final product was a recreation of Super Turbo's original intro with the HD Remix art style. SNK vs. Capcom error message. SNK vs. Capcom for the Neo Geo Pocket Color has several error messages. The game was meant to be played on the Neo Geo Pocket Color, not the original black and white model. One interesting message has K-Dash and Alex talk to each other, realizing that they probably aren't going to be playable in future SNK games. Street Fighter V at the 2020 Olympics. While the Olympics are known for displaying athletic skills, the International Olympic Committee was flirting with the idea of having video games at the Olympics. They teamed up with Intel for the Intel World Open Esports Tournament that was supposed to be held at the 2020 Olympics and would have featured Rocket League and Street Fighter V. I guess they picked those two titles as they aren't overly violent and are reasonably easy to understand from a non-gamer's perspective. However, the COVID-19 pandemic canceled the original version of the Olympic Games, and at time of making this video, Intel has no plans to host the Intel World Open Esports Tournament for the rescheduled 2021 games, assuming the 2021 games happen at all. Ancient Necalli. Necalli is an ancient, vaguely human warrior introduced in Street Fighter V. His story alternate is this one, where he looks like moving clay. This is what Necalli originally looked like. In his story, Necalli consumed the warrior prophet in ancient times, and after taking the warrior prophet's soul, Necalli took on a more human appearance, inheriting the prophet's scars. Blanca concepts. Blanca, like any character, went through a lot of character designs. He wasn't always the green monster that Wi-Fi glue huffers play as. He went from a wrestler with an animal motif, to a ninja, to a beast man, to the green beast we all know and hate to play against. Capcom Fighting Evolution Retsu and Street Fighter 1 Sagat. Capcom Fighting Evolution, or Capcom Fighting Jam, had a rough development cycle. The team was dealing with the fallout of the cancellation of All-Stars and having a new director, Yoshinori Ono, joining halfway through production. One title that was conspicuously absent from Evolution was Street Fighter 1. There were plans to have Street Fighter 1 represented, with Retsu and Eagle from Street Fighter 1, and a special young version of Sagat playable, but due to time constraints and lack of pre-existing assets, other than Eagle's Capcom vs SNK 2 sprite, Street Fighter 1 characters were scrapped for Capcom Fighting Evolution. The movie DC comic. As a tie-in for promotion for the movie, DC Comics did a one-shot called Street Fighter: Battle for the Shadowloo. Japan also got a different one-shot by artist Takayuki Sakai that was published in Koto Koto Comics. It's a bit ironic that someone went to DC for a Street Fighter comic, but I digress. Norimaro. Norimaro was a joke character added to the Japanese version of Marvel Superheroes vs. Street Fighter. He's based on a real-life comedian, Noritake Noritaro Kinashi. He was supposed to be in the international release, and even had English text for some of his moves, but Capcom cuts him at the last minute. He only appears in Marvel vs. Street Fighter, but Phoenix Wright in Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 seems to share a few moves with Norimaro. Sammy vs. Capcom. In 2003, Sammy and Capcom announced a crossover title, creatively titled Sammy vs. Capcom. It was announced, but that's it. No concept art or documentation has been found or even hinted at existing. I guess this was announced at a bad time for both companies, as Capcom was ending their arcade division and Sammy was buying Sega. My guess is we would have had characters from Street Fighter and Darkstalkers fight Guilty Gear and the Rumblefish characters. Remember the Rumblefish? Capcom did tap into Arxis a bit later to make the fighter Sengoku Basara X, a game so broken it died in its first day at the arcade. Shun inspired Makoto, and Makoto is Ryu's sister. Shun was an original character for Street Fighter Alpha the animation. He claims to be Ryu's brother and can tap into the Satsui no Hado. Without giving away any spoilers, things don't end up so well for Shun. Anyway, just looking at Shun, you can see a bit of similarity between him and Makoto, a character introduced in Street Fighter 3, The Third Strike. They have similar faces and similar hair, but totally different personalities and fighting styles. I don't think Shun was the inspiration for Mac, but I can totally see why people think this is. Related, there were a lot of rumors early in Third Strike's life that Ryu and Makoto were related. Easy to think, as they are both black-haired, muscular Japanese martial artists, but they, in fact, are not related. In fact, Makoto has a brother, seen here. Fire Kick. Fire Kick is an unused move in the original Street Fighter. It was planned and even has a voice clip. The Fire Kick was replaced with Ryu and Ken's signature Tatsumaki. Unused second impact clips. Street Fighter 3's second impact has a few voice clips that weren't used. One is Akuma saying Gozanku, his air fireball, the announcer saying New Generation, and most interesting of all is a female voice that is unused. Let's listen. It sounds like Chun-Li, but her lines are stuff that Chun-Li would not say. It could have been planned for Makoto, but she didn't get introduced to the series until Third Strike. Sakura's son. Sakura has a kid? Yeah, in her non-canon Marvel Superheroes vs. Street Fighter ending. Don't worry, Sakura does not have a child in the Street Fighter canon. Hell, it's even a plot point that she wants to be a mother in Street Fighter V. The Street Fighter 4 pregnancy mods notwithstanding. Also in Marvel Superheroes vs. Street Fighter, Dan is shown to have a sister named Yuriko. Unlike Sakura's son, Yuriko appears in Street Fighter V, so she is officially canon. Typing Fighter 2. Are you like me and suck at typing but love Street Fighter? Then play Typing Fighter 2 Plus. It's a Japan-only PC game that teaches typing. You do better in the fight the better you type. So it's like Typing of the Dead, but Street Fighter. Cool! Hard Gaze Sprite. Masaki Sumitani is a Japanese comedian and wrestler who had a wrestling persona named Razor Ramon Hard Gay, or simply known as Hard Gay, which is exactly what it sounds like. Don't get Sumitani and Scott Hall confused. That's important. It might save your life. As an Easter egg, Hard Gay had sprite data in Capcom Fighting Evolution, being in Ingrid's sprite sheet of all characters. I have no idea why Capcom put hard gay in here, but to me it's hilarious that this even exists. Team-based Street Fighter 6. I was really hesitant to put this one on here as it isn't verified, but thought it was interesting. Thanks to leaks, it's been an open secret that Capcom has been working on a Street Fighter 6, despite it not being officially announced. A planned direction for Street Fighter 6 was a team-based gameplay system. If you've played Street Fighter V's Team Battle Mode, you might have played a Street Fighter 6 prototype. However, due to poor reception within Capcom, the COVID-19 pandemic, and Yoshinori Ono leaving the company, this version of Street Fighter 6 was scrapped. So who knows what Street Fighter 6 will look like. I do stress that the team aspect of 6 is a rumor and is not verified. But if anyone does have some meaty Street Fighter 6 info, spinning bird kick into my DMs, yo. As I was doing research for this Iceberg video and watching other videos for inspiration, I was thinking to myself, why do we like Iceberg so much? And I think I have the reason why. If you're a fan of a certain game, a franchise, a certain style of game or movie or what have you, you want to know everything there is to be known about that thing. And what these icebergs are good at is detailing all the trivia, all the information that is to be known about that thing. And the more you know about that thing, the more intimately connected you feel to that thing. After doing all the research and sharing this information with you, the nice people watching, I feel more connected to Street Fighter as a franchise. And I do realize that Street Fighter has been a really big influence in my life, and I will continue to enjoy it as much as I can in the future. And yeah, I hope you feel the same way about Street Fighter. So I guess I'll leave it at that. Thank you for watching, everybody. It's been a lot of information, and I hope you enjoyed the Street Fighter Iceberg. So once again, shoutouts to Rage and Rowan over on Reddit for making the iceberg initially. And shoutouts to you for watching all the way to the end. So let me know down there in the comments, what do you think about icebergs in general, or what's your favorite Street Fighter title? Let me know down there in the comments. And while you're down there, it'd be really killer if you could roundhouse kick that subscribe button and hit the bell as well for notifications on future videos. We've been seeing really nice growth here on the YouTube as of late, and thank you so much. And if you want to know more about me personally, if you want to get connected with me, hit me up on the social media, Twitter, Instagram @ZMangs. And with that, I sign off for now, and I'll see you on the next video. Later, everybody.